Folks, welcome to Everything Pro Wrestling. Everything Pro Wrestling is a show by the fans, for the fans. I'm your host, Conrad Cushman, snowed in here in Buffalo, New York, because nobody wants me to do anything, it appears, for this week. And tonight I'm being joined by the man in black, the one who is always here. He is your coach and mine, the man they call Derek.
What up? What up?
Also joining us tonight is the man with the plan, the man who is going to help us address the state of AEW in the second half of the podcast, BJ.
How's it going?
We are going to do a little Dynamite review, lots to talk about, lots to get into. We're not going to waste any time. We're going to get into this intro. The Dynamite review may be a little shorter tonight because we got a lot to talk about when it comes to the state of AEW. Stick around, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel if you like what you hear, and let's go.
Everything pro wrestling, they can never be you. Listen to the podcast here for the people. The best show that's here, so listen in. Let the knowledge begin. The opinion and the lesson. Yes, everyday pro wrestling, they can never be you.
All right. It's another wonderful world in pro wrestling tonight. I don't know how you guys were feeling, but last week I heard a lot of truths when it came to pro wrestling. I did like Samoa Joe saying ho-ass comments are no longer needed on social media. I think that applies to more than just wrestling. I think it applies across the board. So, yeah, we're going to need that to stop immediately. All right? That goes for a lot of people. I noticed tonight and this past week a lot of shots, lots of shots. Don't get mad when someone jabs back now. Just remember, people like to talk a lot until it's their turn to get it. So we'll get into it. What did you guys think of Dynamite overall tonight?
Go ahead. I don't think it was bad. I think it was like sort of like a fair to Midland kind of situation for me. I don't know. It was exciting, but it just wasn't. It didn't give me that good punch that I was looking for.
I can agree with that. I feel like this would have been a decent collision. Would have been a good Rampage, but it was a low for a Dynamite on my end.
Really? So you got different expectations for those shows when you're watching them?
Yes.
Interesting. Maybe that'll come up again later in our conversation. I want to give a big shout out to everyone who's in the chat. We're going to try to give these shout outs pretty quickly tonight. Do not think I'm being rude. We got a lot to talk about and get into. Jason in the house. He said, Derek, Conrad, my two favorite guys. Always good to see you. It's freezing cold in the snow here on the East Coast. Bruh, who you telling?
Right.
It's cold as ever. Terrell says, I have Hook winning tonight. I'm enjoying the polar vortex. I'm not happy about the warm-up next week. I'll be enjoying the snowstorm this Friday. Hey, I hear you. Big Daddy Kush, that's me. I came in here with a little, don't forget to vote tomorrow. Me and Rob are going live at 6:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. You will find out your winners. I've even casted my votes yet. I kind of know who I want, but I don't want to see any of the results yet. But we're going to find out tomorrow. I am very interested. Don't let me down, Wrestling Nation, EPW Nation. I hope we get some good winners. All right. I don't want to have a meltdown like last year in the Match of the Year category. What was that?
Cody and that torn pec, man.
Oh, God.
I hate that match so much. It defies like why. I'm like, oh yeah, we care about our performers. Go out there with a torn pec. Who cares if you drop someone on their head by accident and doing a move? Oh, craziness. Eric Douglas, why do I take Roddy so seriously when the only thing he's done is beat enhancement talent and yell at him? Wow.
Oh, come on.
Mike's in the house as well. What is going on? Easy E, how did Matt's wife let him out there with ashy ankles? Oh, I got thoughts on that one. I got one thing to say. Get Excalibur the F up out of here and get Riccaboni full-time ASAP. Kind of agree. I like Ian.
Yeah, he's getting on a lot.
I like Ian too. I think with Excalibur, it's we're so used to the shtick from him.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
it's enough. It's enough with that. I don't really care for it anymore.
I'm not mad at Excalibur. I just think that if I could pick like the teams, I think I would be happy. Like I like Caprice and Riccaboni as a team. I didn't think Kevin Kelly was that bad. I don't know why he lost his spot all of a sudden. Like, what did he do? But I didn't feel like he had enough time to even get into there before people would be mad. But I could see people saying he's bland too. I don't know. I don't think that, but back up the Brinks truck, do whatever you got to do, buy Excalibur out of his contract and send him to BWG where he belongs. Jeez. Matt Lopez says, good evening, everyone. Hope everyone's doing well. What is going on, Matt? Appreciate you, family. Sir Quill says, what's up, Conrad Derek? Chat, your boy Sir Quills is back again to get into yet another AEW Dynamite review. Let's get into it. What up, Quilly? Appreciate you. Someone said they have Firehouse subs for the first time tonight. Nobody told me it was this good. I've never had it before. Have you guys?
No.
Okay. All right. I'm a rookie. My nephew tells me to try it all the time. Anthony Slate, what's good? Welcome. Pro Wrestler Shoot, why is Swerve's eyes looking like because tonight will be the night that tonight will be the night that I fall for you.
Over again.
Mike said Rochester, New York in the building. I hear you, bro. I hear you. BJ getting some love in the chat. XG Dubs here. What is good? Dark Elite Eric says, I voted. Thank you, E. Much appreciated. Deanna Conrad question, is 2024 the year of bad mustaches? Yeah, it's looking like it.
Yeah, pretty much.
I've seen a lot of them out here in these streets. Can't have that going on.
Yeah, no.
Can't have that going on. By the way, guys, we got some WWE 2K news. I guess I'll get into it real quick, but this is also the perfect time to plug the Pro Wrestling Shoot. My guys at that's hater, Derek. That is hater. They haven't even announced anything and you're thumbing it down. We found out we're going to get some news dropping here on the 22nd of January. Make sure you guys show them some love. Yeah, I know it's an AEW stream. Fight Forever is going to have some new stuff soon too. I know. Relax. And they also tweeted out this picture. Your boy's been telling y'all for a year. Special guest referee is coming back. They didn't put them sliders in last year for no reason. Now, I can think of the shenanigans BJ's going to try to pull. Don't let it get you down, people. It's going to be okay. When BJ plays his R2K stuff, he's got it right up there. Run the Rumble. He's going to be fair, impartial. He's going to call it right down the middle. All right? It's going to be all good things. But I do like that they're adding stuff into the game. Hopefully it's a fun game. I'm looking forward to the reveals. What did BJ say?
I said for this season because it's on 2K 23. So
Chad joining us. What's good?
What up,
He said,
Chad?
I love Hangman's mustache. Eric said, random question. What's your favorite dessert? I don't know.
Oh, favorite dessert.
I got to be in the mood for a bunch of different things. It depends. One day I want brownies. The next day I want ice cream. I don't know. I'm all over the place with it.
I mean, like what kind of category are we talking? Because
yeah,
dessert could be anything.
How
we
many
got-
licks does it take till you get to Y'all too young for that song. Y'all not ready for that song. All right, let's get into this. Who said butter pecan?
Butter pecan, Puerto Rico.
Joe Jackson, cut it out. I always think of the Jackson 5 when he went to go cheat on Michael Jackson's mom. Can you go get me some butter pecan ice cream? And then she hears the phone conversation. You ain't nothing but a lie and a cheat, Joe, and I don't want you no more. Haunted me, as you can tell, in my childhood to now. Opening contest tonight on Dynamite. It was a battle between Dustin Rhodes and Christian Cage. Dustin got one promo to sell you on why you should watch this match. Dustin did a great job. Christian, in-ring general, and he was a heel. Tonight was the first night in a while that I felt like we had two different types of folks here. And it's where you watch wrestling nowadays and there's a lot of cool heels. And I think Christian could fall into that if you're like a fan like we are. We're on here on YouTube right now talking about wrestling. But tonight felt like the crowd played along. You knew who the bad guy was. You knew who the good guy was, and things made sense. I liked it. That was just me personally. I thought they told a great story. Dustin fought back. He was resilient. He said that he needed that TNT championship. I kind of want to see him get it now a little bit, but maybe I'm just bugging this week. I also thought on Collision he should start teaming with Willie Mack too. I was like, they'd be a good tag team. I've been having weird thoughts about Dustin Rhodes. I don't know how you guys felt about this one, but that's my summary of it.
Go ahead, Beach.
I was okay with it. I understand with Dustin incorporating the Destroyer, and I believe he even did a Code Red in this match. I understand like the hype and appeal, and it gets people talking exactly like what I'm doing. But I can't help but think that I remember seeing like Dustin being so smooth and so good in the ring, and I know injuries and I know age all plays a factor, and I know he can do them, but they're not as fluid. They're not as smooth. And those moves are a little bit harder on him than something he could put into his arsenal. So I'm now to the point of almost being like, come on, Dustin. Like, let's straighten this up. Let's do it a little better. Or, don't do those moves.
Yeah, I mean, I appreciate the fact that he's coming in and willing to use the new style of wrestling that's happening now. But I think at some point in time you got to realize like you're Dustin Rhodes. You don't need to do it. You can do your own. You could do your own thing. Like I don't know about you. I think I can speak for all three of us. We can appreciate what Dustin does if it's just Dustin Rhodes doing what he normally does. I don't think we need to see the extra theatrical moves coming from him. I mean, I appreciate it, but I don't think it's really necessary for him to do so. So I agree with you, Beach. It's not necessary at this point.
I'm a piggyback off of Derek's point before I move to the next match or segment. I do think, though, that Dustin is Dustin Rhodes, and if that's the move he wants to do to get the oohs and ahs, then hey, go for it, man. I think it works for him. He doesn't get to wrestle as often as people think, so he's like, yo, I got to go out there and crush this thing if I want to get used. So I love Dustin. I hope people appreciate him while he's here, still like going in the ring, because we're towards the end more than we are the prime stage of Dustin Rhodes.
Yeah.
But good for him, and I'm glad he's still like teaching people stuff in the ring. We got people saying grandpa versus dad in this one. Come on now. Dustin, even for his age, still looks better than Matt Hardy. Come on now. Come on. No slander now. He wasn't even on the show to defend himself.
Right.
Dustin don't get to wrestle like that on the regular. Yeah.
I'd say replace that Matt with Jeff. Yeah. You might.
We'll talk more about. He's got a match coming up this week too. Not appropriate, Derek. Swerve Strickland. We heard from him backstage. He was talking with Renee Paquette. This was kind of about his journey, his story, saying how he still wants to be the world champion. He's not sweating Hangman Page. Thought it was a fine segment. I really don't have too much to say about it. It's Swerve. Swerve's been doing a really good job. That's all I got.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know what extra to say about Swerve other than give him the title. Like,
that's it. Give that man the belt.
That's right.
Then we got MVPs, buddy.
Impression in your face, bro.
We got MVPs, buddy, here. Chris Jericho. He was upset.
Don't look so excited, bro.
I don't even know what to say about this. Jericho looked upset about the tag team titles. Great, cool, whatever. And Matt Sydal comes from out of nowhere, like butting into the conversation. This is awkward sometimes when people, hey, you're Chris Jericho, and you need to go up against someone who can beat you.
Right.
Get out of here, you. Like, what have you done lately? You beat it. But apparently they're gonna have a match. I don't know. I don't know what they're gonna do. Are they gonna be able to hide the booze this time? I guess that's my only question for Jared. this is going to be part of the state of AEW for me, parts of this. So I'm going to pass it on to you guys. If you have anything to say, feel free.
Yeah.
It's definitely going to be in some of the state of AEW stuff for me as well. But I will just say, you got Matt Sydal playing the early Wheeler Yuta role, and like this type of segment is the kind of stuff that it will come into play later on, like I said, but it's the kind of stuff that it could be swapped out for some other things that they do during the week, each week. I know you're trying to promote Rampage, but I actually went back and checked because of this segment. And it is fair to say that over the last year, AEW Rampage gets about 300 to 400,000 viewers. The Rampage is being taped right after Dynamite. For those who have never been to an AEW show, Rampage comes on after Dynamite. Like if you paid for the ticket, you get both shows. So usually. So you filmed a promo to hype up your show, but you put it on the TV show that the fans are seeing, that they're just going to get here in just a little bit. You could have put this on like YouTube. Again, we'll get to that stuff later, but like it just felt like this was, you wasted so much TV time with this.
Yeah, and Jason mentions Chris Jericho is trying to help put the lower card people over. They have a bigger problem than that, and that's the issue that I want fans of AEW to see, is that there's a problem, and if the problem's not addressed, the problems are not going to go away. They may be quiet if they're in Rhode Island one night, you know what I mean? And I don't mean that disrespectfully to the wrestling fans in Rhode Island. Because listen, I'm in Buffalo. Trust me, everyone's like, New York City's the mecca of pro wrestling. How do you think that makes me feel when I get a show? And it's like, it's been like that all my life, though. So, but when you're looking at this, okay, Jericho may not get booed as much in small town USA, but when they go somewhere else, he's going to get booed. This is going to be an issue until it is solved. I just think they're going to end up having to do that. I have Seidel's number. I'm gonna have to hit him up if he doesn't stop this Jericho pool licking shit. I'm gonna block him. You leave that man alone. He's only doing what he's told. We're gonna move on from this. Oh, go ahead.
He was born to do it.
It's that third eye. It's that third eye. Oh, brother. Let's get into I didn't even see this match added. I actually had to go get this graphic during the show. Thanks, Tony Khan. Once again, annoys me every Wednesday and Tuesday because he doesn't have all the graphics and matches set up. Penta and Commander versus Orange Cassidy and Trent Beretta. I call this the Strange Bedfellows match because they are in tag teams, but their partners are behind them. Usually it's Pentagon and Rey Fenix versus the best friends Chuck Taylor and Trent Beretta. But instead, we got ourselves like Penta and Commander versus Orange and Trent. It still works. I guess that's the good part about having factions, but okay. This match was basically set up. Orange Cassidy gets the win, I think, for his team. I couldn't even see who got the pin. Or no, maybe Trent got the pin. Trent pinned someone. Best friends win. This is a segment to set up the Undisputed Kingdom. Roderick comes out. He says, I'll fight you right now. He says, Orange, no, we're not going to do it right now. I'll see you at Revolution in 6 weeks. Okay, we'll see what they do in between then, but I'm not mad at it. I'm just ready for I'm at the point with certain things where I'm like, okay, Orange has had this belt for too long. Then you gave it back to him, and we're back in the same pattern. Like I feel like we went forward. Then it was like, oh, back it up a little bit, and now I'm like, all right, let's move forward. If you're giving the belt to Roddy, give him the belt for now.
Right.
I don't know if you guys have any thoughts on that segment or that match.
Match was fine for what it was. This is one of those. It felt like the Friends of the Bucks face the Friends of the Bucks, and I'm not labeling that about those teams. I'm labeling it about this matchup because we've seen it. Like these are some of the same people that we get all the time. The Roddy thing, this would have made more sense to me if this promo happened 3 weeks from now, when there were 3 weeks left for the show. But to say, I want you to hold it and know that you're warming it up, and I got 6 weeks of time to fill in between that I was like, nah, that shouldn't have happened right here.
Yeah, I agree with that. And I think that's something else that we can also address in the state of AEW. I know that's one thing I kind of wanted to touch on, but BJ, I agree with you. I think if we go halfway to the pay-per-view, that works. But we're talking like 6 weeks now. Like, doesn't fit.
And I'm going to back up Pro Wrestling Shoe here. He said, am I weird to want Penta singles run? No, I kind of want Penta to have a singles run too, but I'm a Lucha Underground fan, so maybe I'm biased in that.
Same.
I would much rather see Penta on his own, just because some people eat a lot of pins, and I'm going to have a conversation about that in another match here momentarily. Is OC still going to defend every week for 6 weeks? Feed him 6 people, maybe? I don't know what they're going to do with that. I hope they have a plan. That's all I can say. And then someone said, is Britt going to join them, the Undisputed Kingdom, when she comes back, or does she go solo? I think you keep Britt away from this.
Yeah, she doesn't need to be in this.
Yeah, honestly, one of the good things they're doing is that they're trying to beef up this women's division. They're trying to give them more opportunities. I can see what they're trying to do. So if Britt wants to be involved in that, she's got a lot of stuff happening in there. Moving on. Hangman Page is backstage with Renee. Yeah, I'd like a title shot too. Rah, rah, rah. Check out my mustache. It's a nice mustache. It's a crustache. And yeah, I don't really have anything else to say. He cut a fine promo. Nothing bad. Nothing great about it either. You know what I mean? It's the same thing I felt about Swerve. Like, okay, I know where we're going with this. I'm fine with it.
Yeah, I'm the same way. The only thing that got me, and it's a mannerism thing, for half the promo, when he was doing like the initial front half, like intensity, every like couple of words, it was like he was trying to get as much air as he could, and then he's immediately talking about something where he's calmer, and it was completely gone. And that dramatic like breathing threw me off. So it wasn't even what he said. It was just the like, dude, like, get your air. Like, what's going on? Like, you got a cold or something?
Right.
BJ, I'm not going to lie. Even I'll probably always say this about Hangman. He's had some good promos, but I think for the most part, I do not like his style of promo and how he cuts it, where he's loud or he's like real somber. He's real, and the breathing thing too. Like, it's just, it comes off awkward. And I don't know if any like legend would pull him to the side and just say like, hey kid, like if you do it like this, I'd rather him be angry all the way through or somber all the way through a promo than the going back and forth. I'm a big
Hangman fan like that. You know, it didn't take anything. This is just the first time I noticed it was so dramatic from one way to the other. So
facts. Listen, guys, I've had this in here for an entire year. Jay Briscoe, we had a moment here. I'm not gonna lie, Rob called me during this, and Rob said they got me, and then I was like, yeah, they got me too, bro. They got me too. The tears were welling up a little bit in my eyes. Mark Briscoe comes out and talks about his brother Jay, and he even brings out Jay's family on the stage. His daughter, at one point it was mentioned, was told that she wouldn't be able to walk, and she walked out on stage. Great moment. You could see the pain in Mark Briscoe's eyes. That was what got me. Him talking, you could see the pain in his eyes of losing his brother. Like, you hear people say like, oh, I love this person all the time, things like that. You can tell that Mark Briscoe loves his brother. They were inseparable, always together. I told you guys my personal story. I used to see them all the time with Jay Lethal. Those three could never be broken up. It was a bond that they had. I saw them every time. They were always late, but I saw them every time, and very special bond between them. So it got me choked up.
Yeah.
I agree. I have excuse me, I have short-term history with the Briscoes. But from what I've seen and what I've encountered, I mean, it speaks for itself. Definitely pulled the strings. Definitely pulled the strings, but it's a way of life, unfortunately. But we don't forget the good times that we've had. So it sucks that he's gone, but it's a plus that we still remember him and we always will. And he's impacted us on a huge level. So you take it for what it's worth. So it sucks that he's gone, but
Yeah, I this was real intense, especially when you could hear it in Mark's voice as well. Like, one of those kinds of things. If he ends up telling the story of this night somewhere, and it's like, yeah, I knew that what the plan was, and then I felt it when I like. That's what it kind of seemed like. It felt like one of those moments, and I'm glad the rest of the family is as well as they can be. I'm glad they were celebrated. And I mean, as anyone could say, just it's a shame that it has to be done, or like to be celebrated that way rather than having them both on TV with us now.
Right. And shout out to the girl who they caught on camera that was crying. She seemed to be a little on the younger side to understand, like what they really brought to the wrestling world, but I think she understood enough, and that really hit her hard. And so shout out to her for understanding like what the situation is.
Yeah, and I see a lot of people in the chats that they cried big time. I hear you guys. I hear you. Tough part about being a wrestling fan sometimes is when you gotta hear that. And then this, I hope you guys allow me here to transition here because anger is about to come now. But I'm trying to preface myself because I really don't want to be angry here, but I'm going to be, because I did not like this segment at all. And you might say, nah, you hate the Bucks, Conrad. You're a CM Punk fan. You hate the Bucks. Perhaps I will tell the truth and say perhaps that's it. But I did not like this interview segment at all. They're walking around with mustaches. They're trying to be serious, and they did the one thing, BJ. Where's BJ at? Let me pull us up. They did the one thing that I've been telling you, Derek, Jesse, anybody in the chat who will listen to me. Matt Jackson is so effing annoying when he has to say, I'm an EVP. I started this company. Stop saying that. It is annoying. Imagine if you worked with this dude. Just imagine you work at like a hardware store. I will call him Butt Munch if I need to. I am sick of hearing about this. I'm an EVP. Did you get your check this week, Renee? Thank you. And they said they're going by their God-given names now, Matthew and Nicholas. Lame. I'm not feeling this. I don't know what this is supposed to be. Are they going to still dress like the Bucks? Are they going to come out in slacks too? Like, what is this? I wasn't feeling it. And they had a line in here. Do not say, now if CM Punk claps back, I don't want to hear any whining. We let in, hold on, what was it? Superstars that were toxic and cancerous to the locker room, and this isn't about Sting. They're setting them up to have the match with Sting and Darby Allin. I don't know how you guys felt. I thought it sucked. I'm not a fan of this. I'm not feeling it.
Go ahead, Beach.
The cancerous line, absolutely a shot at Punk. And the minute it came out of Matthew's mouth, I was just like, dude, let it go. Like, come on. The second thing is, yeah, we're EVPs and we need to be taking that role seriously. Yeah, because clearly before you didn't. And lastly, just I feel like this new turn already is like some weird amalgamation of being super critical of what the online stuff has been towards them, mixed with them going to be like their own little like tag team version of Vince McMahon. And I'm not for any of it. And I really wish they weren't on the other side of the ring for Sting's final match. And this is coming as a fan of the Elite. This is where I have gone to with Nicholas and Matthew.
Yeah. I was turned off as soon as I saw them. I was like, all right, I already know the BS is coming right now. I don't want to hear none of it. I legitimately I turned up the volume and legitimately went in the kitchen as I was cooking just to listen to what they were saying. And I completely stopped doing what I was doing to hear that. And I'm like, oh, okay. All right, guys, please. We are touching on a sore subject repeatedly. Why? Why does it still matter to you? I don't understand. But you know what? I'll leave it there because that is what I really want to address.
Moving on, apparently. Moving on. We can get into this. I'm gonna go to the chat here. I just want to see what some of them said. A lot of people are saying, oh, Connor, welcome, Connor. He said, I was able to get discounted tickets to this show with a friend of mine tonight. Such a fun time for my second ever wrestling show. I hope you enjoyed yourself, bro. Hope you were able to get a t-shirt. Hope that things went well for you. Wrestling's always fun to go to. Matt Lopez says corporate bucks. Easy E said, I like the interview. I like the look. And Matt did his least overacting I've ever seen him not do. LOL. I want to see where this goes, but I wish they did it with Punk. My biggest problem with this whole thing, but I'll get into it. Nobody answered my question last week. Are the Young Bucks over with fans? I think that they have their fans, but I don't think they're as over as they were when AEW first started. I have a Young Bucks t-shirt in my closet. Ask me if I ever wear it now. Rarely. It just sits there. But I've got a lot of shirts of people that I probably won't ever wear again too. So because I just don't like them anymore. It's crazy. It's crazy. Been watching the Wonder Years lately, butt munch. YouTube, please don't demonetize me for saying butt munch. What would you do if I sang out of tune? I'm old. Yeah, I'm old too because I knew exactly what you were talking about. By the way, did everybody see Eric Bischoff said something positive about AEW tonight? He said he liked the hook segment.
No one cares what Eric Bischoff has to say.
Kudos to Eric Bischoff. I feel like he put that in his Rolodex. So he'd be like, I did say something positive on 1/17/2024 about AEW. How dare you say I'm negative?
What wasn't as good as a Road Dogg performance? I'm kidding.
Yeah. You know what? I'm not. Let me one more time because I don't want anyone to misquote me when we're like at the Revolution preview and prediction show. I do not have an issue with the Young Bucks being Sting's last match. If Sting said he wanted them, cool. I don't. That's fine. No issue. Are the Bucks going to put on a good match? I sure hope so. I don't have an issue with that. I hope they main event the show with them. I'm fine with that. But I'll talk more about my other issues. BJ knows what we're going for.
I have to interject because you said, with the Bucks and being okay with it. But me, as Sting was my guy. Like, yeah, like historically, I said like Ultimate Warrior is what caught my attention at such a young age, and like I got hooked on wrestling. But when I was like actually being able to like see things play out and stuff, Sting was like, I had moved over to WCW. Sting was always that dude. Sting was always my guy through every phase, even the Wolfpack. I've always been for Sting. So to see it be against the Bucks just doesn't feel right.
Mm-hmm. I agree with that, DJ. I agree with that.
Hubs in the house. He said, "Brother Conrad, my guy Derek, and B Jeezy. What's good, fellas?"
My
Me
guy,
and Sean host a show every Monday, Clash of the Podcast, live at 6:05 Eastern Standard Time. You may want to be there. Last week's episode was a brilliant one. We talked about Black wrestlers. It was Martin Luther King Jr. Day. Show us some love, man. Go back, check that out. We even had a little talk about Seth Rollins and Jinder Mahal. Yeah. So, I'm going into, someone said middle-aged Bucks, people showing Hub some love. This new version of the Bucks would have worked so much better if Punk was in the storyline. Maybe. The Young Bucks in 2024 are over. Webster's dictionary definition of over, finished. Reach conclusion, no longer wanted. Wow. He went Dean Douglas on us over here. Wow. Chair relax. How do you have your guy kick out at 1? We'll get into the main event soon, trust me. And yeah, they're talking about the Sting match. We're gonna move forward here. We're gonna try and get through this 6-man tag match. I don't have a lot of words for this. Chaos. When there's more than 4 people in here, Derek always calls it. That's why he doesn't like it, but chaos. It works. I thought this was a good 6-man tag match. Guess what? Brian Cage matched. Unbelievable. Couldn't believe it. And guess who took the pen? Take a guess, guys. Do you know who? It's always my boy Kaun. Why does he get pinned all the time? Why couldn't Brian Cage get pinned? Why couldn't it be Toa even? Why does it always have to be Kaun? Like, I don't like that. Kaun looks great. He looks like $1 million. $1 million, that dude. I just don't get it. I don't get it.
Immediately thought, to make an old TV reference, like with the Wonder Years earlier, that you're just sitting there in front of your TV when it happens, and you just give all like the Star Trek Kaun every time. So,
dude, oh my goodness, I just hate it, man. I like Kaun a lot, so that's just me talking. But Bowens came down to the ring. He distracted. Nana was going to clobber someone with the 6-man championship. Bowens took it out of his hands. Jay White was about to beat him down, apparently. Can't do that to Nana. But he gets caught. Blade Runner, I almost said Switchblade. Blade Runner, 1, 2, 3. It's over. Bullet Club Gold. New theme tonight, by the way. I don't know if everyone noticed that. Mm-hmm. I saw them talking about it on IG, I think it was. Austin Gunn. 2 words. Put them up. And I can't say the word. I just realized that's why I censored myself. Put them up. And yeah, they did it, man. Like, good for them. I have a theory about where this storyline is going. There's 2 theories to it. The less likely one is they're going to form a big faction with the Acclaimed and Bullet Club Gold. All right, the more realistic thing that I think is going to happen is unification match of the trios titles. We do not need 2 separate trios titles, and I am for it. I am for it.
Me too.
I'm for them just getting rid of the titles. Sorry.
No, I think it's needed for sure.
Yeah, listen, there is nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that.
No, it's definitely needed, but you know me, man. I don't care for the trios.
Understandable. Matt Lopez said Bullet Club's theme was great. I was feeling it. Mm-hmm. I was feeling it a lot. Going into it, we got a promo from Adam Cole and Wardlow. It was fine for what it was. They're building the story as we've been talking about for weeks. I think I've talked about it with both of you. We know where this is headed, I think. I walk alone. That's all I'm gonna say. See, Derek, that's an appropriate time to give a thumbs down.
Instead of the boom, it's doom.
Right. It's the boo.
Yeah.
Boo. After that, we got ourselves a women's match. It was the lovely Anna Jay, the lovely Deonna Purrazzo, and the lovely timeless Toni Storm on commentary. I had fun with this one. Forget all the haters who were saying bad things about Deonna Purrazzo. I do not care. I do not care. I know what is lovely. I am here to tell y'all that. Do not talk bad about my girls. I am a fan of them bringing in Deonna Purrazzo. I think it's going to increase the in-ring technical part of their wrestling show. for sure. Anna Jay, they still seem to have her in this she is learning things, but she's getting opportunities role. And Toni Storm as a character is fan-freaking-tastic. Peraza wins with a tap out. She uses her armbar finishers all the time. You will see those come in great variety and in different ways. I loved it.
Yeah, I liked everything about it. I like the direction with Deonna and Tony. I'm gonna do something, and I hope that sound wise, because I wasn't thinking about it when I did it earlier. I hope that sound wise it doesn't mess anything up. But for those people making the comments, go drink some water, go touch some grass, step away from your keyboard for just like, I don't know, a day, and go try to be in society. See if you still feel edgy enough to think things like you do. Okay.
You saw her rolling tonight. She was rolling mighty fine. No issues while people are talking that hot garbage. Yeah. Oh, and say it in front of Steve Macklin, too. Say it in front of him.
Absolutely.
See what that dude does. Derek, any thoughts on any of this?
I mean, it was a good match. Don't get me wrong; it was definitely a good match. But it's at that point now. We're building up to Peraza versus Toni Storm, which is good. I think we get the roadblocks here. Everybody's stepping in the way, whether it's a feud or not. But it's a roadblock for her to get to Toni Storm. And honestly, I believe if you do it correctly, you get Deonna Purrazzo to Toni Storm, but you create the tension between Toni Storm and oh my God, drawing a blank. What's her name?
Anna Jay, Deonna Purrazzo, Toni Storm.
No. What's Toni Storm's?
Mariah May.
Mariah May, yeah. I was drawing a blank, but I think that's where you get the beginning of the end, where you get those two together, and then that's where Deonna Purrazzo steps in.
It could happen, and Toni Storm provided comedy relief to the segment, so it gave, as BJ would say, layers to what they were doing. It wasn't just a women's match and goodbye, that's the end. Toni Storm got to speak. They did an interview segment, and then Deonna cuts a serious promo, but then Toni speaks, and Toni Storm is so outlandish that you don't know what to say. She broke Deonna and Renee in the ring with that whole, next time you say that to me, I'm going to sock you in your box. And they were just like, oh, did she just say that and not get in trouble? Oh Lord, don't break. And they just broke instantly. And the fans were laughing. It was great. Toni Storm gets the character and she pushes it all the way. They were throwing shoes at each other. We're like, what is this? Luther is the best Luther has looked in AEW. Yeah. He is the butler. He is Luther. And it's just great. It works. And Mariah May being in the background, it works. I'm interested to see where this keeps going. We got Deonna is awesome, or excuse me, I said Deonna. Deonna, you are awesome too. Deonna is awesome. Deonna is much better wrestler than dumbing herself down for Anna Jay. I don't think she had to. I mean, Anna Jay is still in learning too.
Mm-hmm.
Anna. Back when I enjoyed BTE, I see people saying E-drones are saying no Monet. I was told keep waiting for it. That's all I'm going to say. Somewhat unrelated, but this is my opinion, does tie into the subject. Sting, legendary respected situation, has me thinking about Flair in 2008, the amazing send-off, and came back to tarnish his image. Now Sting is trying to do the right thing as he leaves, yet AEW not really doing it the right way. But if Sting really did ask for it, and I believe he did, that's Sting's choice. That's what he wanted to do.
Yeah.
I think the Bucks can give him a good match. I really do. What the funk's in the house? What's good? Please do not censor me. I said funk, like the music.
I have one thing to say off of that. I don't know. It just hit my brain. Just made me think like this would have been a really good idea, and it's too bad they never capitalized on it. Sting's like first opponents when he came in like one of his first like big feuds with Darby was Ricky and Brian Cage.
Mm-hmm.
With Brian Cage losing tonight, if they would have kicked him out, why couldn't they have in this amount of time maybe had him and Ricky do it again, or Ricky and Big Bill this time? That would have been better. That would have been better.
Something was said that I'm going to bring up.
But
did I miss the Sting segment? Not yet. I'm going to bring this up in 1 second in this segment here. It's because something was said. I don't know how they said those curse words, Jason. Maybe you can get away with saying, what's the word I'm trying to use here that I can substitute for melons? Maybe you could say melons on TV. I don't know. I don't work at television, so maybe. Is it stretch to say Toni Storm has become the most entertaining female performer / wrestler in the industry? I don't think it's a stretch at all. She's been brilliant lately.
I don't think it's a stretch either.
We have a subject to who is the breakout performer, and when I say that, that doesn't mean you have to be in the business. Maybe you changed your character, maybe you did something and you broke out in a different way. Toni Storm's in consideration for me to be put in that spot in that awards form that I'm filling out tomorrow. Like that's how I feel about it, at least. Let's keep going through this. Let's we find out the matchups that are coming up. So Rampage is gonna have Jericho Seidel, Queen Aminata. Oh, thank you. I heard she is signed now. Thank you, Tony Khan. You did the right thing here. Versus Chris Statlander. Anthony Henry versus Pentagon. Anthony Henry slept on. Him and JD Drake are really, really good. I just want people to know that. JD Drake out here having them WCW Saturday night matches. Out here just slobber knocking people and putting a whooping on them. Darby Allin versus Jeff Hardy, as BJ had mentioned earlier about the other Hardy, he has a match. And we're probably going to get some crazy, I'm on Rampage tonight because we're drawing the ratings, dude. I don't even know what this talk is. I don't even know what this is supposed to be. I'm not feeling it with the Hardys either. I'm like, I don't know what you guys are trying to do, but it ain't working. We find out Eddie Kingston and Ortiz versus BCC, Danielson and Claudio. Buddy Matthews is going to be in action against Danny Garcia, and John Moxley returns to Collision. Okay. Yeah, so we got those things, and then we got a tag team match. What do you know? There's a tag division without belts on the line. You got Top Flight versus Private Party. I liked this match a lot. We had some young, hungry brothers up in here doing their thing. I was feeling it. This was good. I want to see more of this. This is what either Ring of Honor's tag division should be about, or this is what your tag division needs to be about more. But these guys need to be wrestling. Great match. Private Party establishes that they're heels. Mark Quinn cheats. He does the O'Connor roll and falls back and says, whoops, got it. And Top Flight's disappointed. And Action Andretti, I don't know if he drank a water on his way out or what he did. I don't even know what that's supposed to be. Stop doing that, though. Please stop. It is nerdy. That is like lunch table nerd stuff to do. Do not do that. So it's cool. He could have did it once, like on BTE or something. I'd be like, okay, fine. That's cool. Cool trick you could do. Do not do this on TV every week.
Right.
He comes out. He tells the truth of what happened. There's a little, hey, what's up with you guys, man? This is BS. Blah, blah, blah. I would like to see them run this match back a couple times, or even if it's in singles on Ring of Honor or something, let these guys get in the ring. And I think they could cook if you had like a WWE style, like house show schedule for them, let them get in the ring constantly. And then you're like, at the pay-per-view, you guys can face each other. I think they would have a knock the socks off type of match. That's just me talking.
Yeah, I agree with that.
I agree too. I especially agree about the water bottle thing. It's like I got it like the first time, and then that's it. You know, let's be done with it from there.
Yeah, I agree.
But yeah,
and then I'm happy to see Private Party back, but that damn scream, stop it.
Yeah,
don't want to hear it.
I'm gonna try and be quick with these last two things. Sting and Darby Allin come up after this. We get highlights, and in the highlights, did you guys hear them mention that they wanted to be the tag team champions?
Yeah.
You heard that, right?
Yeah.
You heard it too, BJ? Mm-hmm. Okay, so maybe we are going to get that Big Bill match. Maybe they do become the tag team champions. I don't know.
But is this before they face the Elite, though?
I think so.
Yeah, I don't want that.
Yeah,
Doesn't mean they're
I
gonna
don't
lose
want
either.
that. I don't want that match to be for the tag team titles if the Bucks are also in it, because the Bucks lost their opportunity.
Yes.
Hub's coming with a controversial opinion. We should all appreciate old WCW for more title changes. He said not all but some, because in 2024, both AEW and WWE, we are seeing world title matches with no chance of change. That's not good. We'll see. We'll see. Sting and Darby said they want to end as tag champs. Could happen. That was what I was pitching their final match be, for the tag titles. The belts are on the line. Little surprise in there. See what you do, but we'll see what they do. I'm gonna leave it at that. Main event time. Sponsored by Suicide Squad. Not sponsoring me, but I'm just letting you know what it was sponsored by for this match. Samoa Joe versus the FTW champ. All caps, Hook. I love the promos for this match. I love the artwork that they did. I didn't even put the video game one up, but I love the Batman look that they've been giving Hook with the sign up in the air. Then it's on the mat when he gets into the ring. It's a thing of beauty, in my opinion.
It is.
Thing of beauty.
Yeah, I agree.
I gotta say, this is for C. This is best match I've seen Hook in.
No, I'm kidding. Yeah, about time. About time. You know.
Listen, I had to give him his props for this one. This one was good. But this is what I've been saying for a long time. Like, I couldn't get behind him until he actually got into a lucrative match. This was it.
Had to go slow though. Had to go slow. I think Hook got his bell rang in this. This was an excellent match, and so Joe wins. He puts him in the coquina clutch. He wins the three. They did three. Thank goodness. I know BJ's issue. How you doing 1-1 match and then 3 in this match? I think that was BJ who said that to me. Yep. I just thought of that instantly tonight. I was like, okay, they did the 3, and after that was done, he came back in. He gave him the muscle buster. He was getting back up, and they had Hangman make the save. And I thought that was a Jeff Hardy moment. Jeff Hardy, Undertaker. I wanted Joe to keep beating him until he said, "I'm not through with you, man. You can't break me, Taker." And then he came in and eventually he's like, "I can't even beat on you anymore, man. You're tough. You're a tough kid. All right. Now stop calling me out or I'm gonna have to mess you up for real." And then they could have moved on. That's what I really wanted Joe to do, but they're trying to establish Joe as the heel, so I don't think they wanted to do that. But I thought they missed an opportunity here. That's just me, fan perspective. I'm not that mad about it, but I thought that's what they should have done.
One of the key things there is Hook went for the finisher, but didn't get it. So you've always got that. What if he would have locked it on? So
yeah, I don't need the signal per se. I just needed a caliber match.
Interesting.
That's all I really needed. I don't care for the signal. Signal was cool. Don't get me wrong, but I needed a caliber match for me to buy into Hook, because I get the slow burn and everything, but I wasn't buying into it until I got that match.
He wasn't ready though, Derek. That was what I'm saying. I think that they said something early, and then Hook was like, "I can do a little bit," and they were like, "Fine, let's put him in there." And you give him some of those matches, you get him rolling, but then it was like, "Well, do you really want to put him in there with like the world champ yet?" No, not yet, because he's still learning. He's still at the wrestling school and stuff like that. I thought he did great tonight. I felt bad for him on that bump on the table, like I said, the back of the head. Ugh. Looked like he got his bell rung.
I will say that the count out situation, stop. That's too much.
Oh, it's just an overused spot, bro. It's no different than the Tower of Doom, standing there. Let's all stand there and catch someone. These are things that I would like to see stopped as well, but I don't own a wrestling company, but I would yell at people for doing that. I'd be like, don't do it anymore. I'm done. That's why I said I was impressed with Dustin and Christian's match. He ran off the steps and did a clothesline and got a pop. Hook is smart too, though. I could tell he went to MJF school. You know how? He waited until he knew his spot was the suplex, and the people popped for the suplex instead of him doing something crazy like jump off the ladder, man. Okay, you don't need to do that every time. It's good when they do it, but when you don't need to, you don't need to. And I thought they did well with this. Guys, leave me your thoughts in the chat. I'll go around. Thumbs up or thumbs down show tonight. We're going to keep it simple.
I'll still give it a thumbs up.
You got to make a choice. You got to make a choice, son. All right. I'm with you guys. I'm going to say thumbs up tonight too. Hub said we need to stop saying world title matches. We all know the outcome. Seth, Jinder, Hook, Joe, Roman over 3 years, MJF for a year. I don't appreciate predictable outcomes. Predictability's not bad. I'm going to yell this until the end of time. I will use the example of a dog pooping on a carpet every time. That was unpredictable. It wasn't good. I knew the dog had to go to the bathroom, but ta-da! Like, predictability is not bad. It's like getting mad at yourself because you're a logical thinker. Like, why are you upset about this? They did what you wanted, but it was so predictable. You can't be mad at it, Hubs. Like, you watch wrestling long enough, you know the deal. That being said, Hook is a star. Why put him in a match? We know he will not win the title. We love Rey Mysterio, but did we really think he beat Flair in 98? Think about what I'm saying. I hear what you're saying. I get it. Oh, 99. Yeah. I hear what you're saying. Good show. I hate this comparison. Why do you hate this comparison? Why? So you guys one day want to wake up and see the Brooklyn Brawler like beat Triple H? He's like, yeah, I'm the WWF champion now. Nobody wants to see that. That would be shocking. That would be, wow. What did you know? You can't do that. You can't do that. And it's like I said, is it weird? Like, I think you're arguing with your own opinion. You're like, well, this is predictable. Yeah, because you know what's going to happen because you're a logical thinking wrestling fan.
I think about like the Jinder match on Monday, where it was predictable that Seth was going to win, but because of all the hype and stuff, people actually question. Now, the thought with your predictability is not a bad thing. If you were going, we're years out, say we're like 6 years from this point in time in the future, and we're doing recaps or we're talking about things historically, and we're talking about that year's build up to that Mania and all this kind of stuff. Is it really going to be something to say, oh yeah, and Jinder briefly won the title and Seth got it back because of a thing that happened on the internet for a week? Or is the story about the longevity of Seth being a champion? That's where I'm saying, like, that is right now thinking instead of big, like, timeline. Like,
all right. You know what, Jesse, you're the last one that I'm going to answer this stuff with because we're about to get into the state of AEW. We actually went way more, like 20 minutes longer than I wanted to, but that's okay. Seth Jinder was good then because it was predictable. No, damn it, because we said it was bad from the beginning. Are you listening to me? Predictability is not bad. I said this match sucks. Like, you knew it's Jinder Mahal has no business being in the main event. He beat Shinsuke Nakamura. Who signed off on that? I want to meet the person who did it. When Nakamura was most popular, like, you know what? Let's have Jinder beat him. That was a great idea, guys. The guy who has people singing his song in the arenas, he was selling all those shirts. Yeah, you have him win the Royal Rumble. You make us think, okay, they got it this time. They're not going to screw it up. Nope, they did it again. There's a difference. There's a difference. When I smell bad, I know bad. That's the difference. When I smell the dog pooping, I know that's going to be bad, whether it's predictable or not. That's what happens in these situations. So listen to what people are saying beforehand, and it's okay. But if they decided to do a match one night where I'm trying to think of who would be in world title contention, if they did a match one week where it was like Keith Lee versus Samoa Joe or I don't know, put whoever in there that you think is believable. It's fine. Joe's got to beat people too. You know what I mean? You can't protect people, and I'm sure that's going to be like that. Conrad, you're being unfair. I'm not being unfair. You said unpredictable. What's unpredictable? So there's levels to it then, right? That's what I'm saying. There's levels to it. You cannot just have people beating people just because. Predictable is good if you need exposure.
Jinder didn't deserve it. I don't care what anybody says. He did not deserve it at all. Because if you say Jinder deserved it, then my guy, Damian Sandow, should have beaten John Cena. But a lot of people will say that shouldn't have happened. But we're okay with Jinder beating Seth Rollins, right? No.
If every movie I watched was predictable, I wouldn't watch movies. You don't know what's going to happen in Mission Impossible? You don't know what's going to happen in that movie? Ocean's 11, you don't know what's going to happen when you watch them? I'm pretty sure I got a good handle on what's going to happen in Batman. I think I know what's going to happen. But why do we watch it then? Good. Because it's good. Because you want to see how they tell the story and I'm still into it when I'm watching it, right, Derek? How many times have you seen every Batman movie?
Over 1,000 times, probably.
That's what I'm saying. So he said, I'm talking more like Y2J in 2000 on Raw. You could do something like that, but that was a pump fake too.
Yeah, that's the equivalent of Wardlow right now getting a shot against Joe.
Yeah.
He's someone who people like him. He's been a dominant person. He's just been on this lower tier. Let's try it out. Let's see what happens. That's what I felt like they did with Jericho when he fought against Triple H and got that initial reaction on the fluke win. It was a let's try it out thing.
Yeah. And you can do that. The more you do it, the less predictable things. You know what I mean? Like, then you can't do that as often. I told Derek the night Action Andretti faced Jericho, he was going to win. You know why? Because I knew Jericho was desperate to get something going for himself. Like, I can smell it now. You know, I didn't know when 1, 2, 3 Kid and Razor were going to do it because I was a kid, but I've watched it. And you said every movie. I'll tell you this. Me and Derek have seen enough movies and everything and watched them. And I could tell you there aren't many movies, but I could tell you the movies where me and Derek were like, yo, I was shocked by that. That was a good swerve.
Yep.
All right. When we first Saw, that was a good swerve because everyone in the theater was going crazy. We just went on opening night. We're like, let's just go see what this movie's about.
Right.
And I remember, can I spoil the movie? Have you seen it, BJ? Chat.
Oh,
I'm
yeah,
sorry.
I'm
about to spoil a movie that's like, it's almost 20 years old now.
Mm-hmm.
But if you go see the first Saw, there's a spot where someone walks through and you would think Danny Glover's the killer in it, right? He walks through, boom, he's dead. We were like, Danny Glover's not the killer. It's not Danny Glover. And we went crazy.
Yes.
That does not happen in every movie I go to see because I know where it's going. It's okay. Go watch Hitch. I know where it's going. Like, I'm naming a bunch of different kind of movies.
Yeah.
Come on. And don't say that. And I'm tired of people saying contradiction. No, I told you Jinder Mahal is doo-doo from the beginning. So that doesn't mean it was a good match because they put it on. People saying, like, let's randomly do something just to be different. That's not good. That's not good either. No. BJ, we're talking about AEW right now. I'm done. Don't bring Jinder Mahal's name up on here anymore, people. I'm done with him. Let him manage. He looks fine in the managerial role. Cool. He looks like $1 million, by the way. State of AEW, BJ. I don't know if we can run through this any faster, but let's rant and rave about this.
I'll do my best here. So, we've been talking about wanting to do this for a little bit, and it is to draw attention to things that have been going on in AEW, some since the beginning. Some are big moments. Some are big moments that have happened but still have an effect. And some are things that are happening temporarily, like, oh yeah, we know this is going to be this way for like, a couple of months. Some of these have a lot more impact into the future. So I kind of just sorted some stuff out and I want to go through it there. I will say, I want to start it out this way and I will kind of end it this way as well, because I'm going to end with some positives. But I love AEW. It is my current favorite promotion. I have been on board since the beginning, so as you guys have as well. So anything that's being said here, for anyone who's either just coming into this or who picks this up audio wise at any point, no one here hates AEW. So any of these remarks or topics of discussion are not to be taken as, oh yeah, they're just hating on it. We're not. These are legitimate things that have come up that are sensitive subjects for some people, that are definitely issues for the company, and things that we'd like to see evolve for the better. So with that being said, I'm going to get a big one out right up front. Cody Rhodes leaving to WWE. There's a lot to Cody leaving. And then there's also a realization in all the questioning. The first thing I would like to say is the realization of Cody going back to WWE. A lot of people seem shocked by that. But if you really look at the whole picture, when Cody left and Cody making the list of names and Cody doing the Bullet Club and Ring of Honor and all that kind of stuff, did anyone think that was Cody forever on the indies? Or did you also think it was kind of like when Drew left? Because for me, I remember when I first saw that stuff, I didn't take that as Cody being an indie guy forever. I thought this is the list, and then I'm going to make a decision on what to do, whether that's be done with wrestling or go back. So with him ultimately going back, I was surprised given his stature in AEW. But overall, with how he got there in the first place, I wasn't really.
I'm waiting for you, Derek.
Okay, so
do you need me to summarize Derek's feelings about the Cody thing? That was a live reaction of it.
So Cody was, let's just say Cody was my boy back in said company, and Cody was my boy back in AEW. Now, I think my issue with Cody is you set yourself up for failure by basically saying, like, I'm not ever going to challenge for the title. But then you also set yourself up for failure to have beef with the EVPs and then want to.
We don't know that.
He had beef with him, bro.
Beef with him. That's the whole part of it is we don't know why he left for certain.
I mean, that's true. We don't know why they clashed, but oh man, you can't attack one company while you're in another company and then just go back like nothing ever happened. I have a huge issue with that. Like that's like me saying I played with the Toronto Blue Jays for 10 years. Then I go get a 5-year deal with New York and say Toronto is horrible. And then go back for another 5-year deal with Toronto. I just bashed you. Why did you take me back? I don't know.
Well, let me. Can I say this? I think that we all had some type of love for Cody, whatever it was. All right. I like Cody a lot. Cody was my favorite EVP. I thought he went out. He handled business. I watched any podcast they were on talking AEW and the build up to the company before the shows. I was more into that than what was on other wrestling programs at the time. Maybe we had Lucha Underground. Maybe we had like something. Impact might have been of interest depending on the week. Minus Derek yelling at people in my comment section. But it depended, right? So, and even then, WWE even hit a single or a double here and there. We're using baseball references tonight, apparently. So, I loved Cody so much, and I felt what Derek said at first too, that he turned. It hurt because Cody was Mr. AEW. He was rah rah rah. I love this. I'm about this. And if you're a fan of Bullet Club, New Japan, and you saw this, you might have felt like, he needed something when he first left. It wasn't like Cody was like major star Roni. Like he was doing fine. Like he was doing great on the indie scene. But then when he came to New Japan, I was like, oh, When I saw the Throne promo with him with the cigar, I was like, oh, this is good. This is really, really, really good. And I was with it. I was into it. I liked it a lot. But then we eventually transitioned into he was in AEW. I don't know what the issues were. Brandy were there. There were things that weren't working, things that did work, whatever. Power got taken away, and then all of a sudden it felt like Boo Boo Face came on with all of them. Like, okay, Tony. But the ratings were going up. They really couldn't say much. Things were happening. They really couldn't say too much. What are you going to say to me? So they went out there and then they said, well, I'm going to bust my backside and do a great job. I thought Cody's promo with Jericho was one of the best promos Cody ever cut. That's my favorite Cody promo, was the one about the book. You can get his book for $3 on Amazon right now. I loved it. I loved the line about the silver spoon in his mouth, all of that stuff, right? He did great. I believed in Cody. I am with Derek. Cody played himself by booking himself into that. I know someone may argue, well, Tony shouldn't have did it. Tony's a whole nother conversation I'm sure we're going to get into. That was their opportunity, and they missed out, in my opinion. But Cody leaving to WWE. WWE released all those people. Tony picked them up. Here's what happened. That freed up a lot of money and a lot of space. Someone was going to bite to take that money. Basically, what Gomez and Bruce Pritchard were saying were, we need help. I need someone who's going to defeat Roman, who's going to slay this dragon, and who's going to take these millions. Think of how much money they make. And you see people with contracts like, oh, yeah, I make $5 million wrestling. And that's a big wrestling contract. How much money are these guys getting paid? WWE is worth billions, bro. And they're giving them, yeah, here's $5 million. Have a good day. Cody went in and he took that bag. Cody's got to be making between 5 and 10 million, in my opinion. He has to be. I don't know how long he signed for, but he is getting paid his ducats. And remember, before this, Cody was going to retire. Cody ain't retiring nothing now. He is in it to win it. Do I see him ever going back to AEW? Perhaps, but Cody took it first, and it hurt AEW even more, in my opinion, because he was an EVP. It started to say, what does it say about what's going on backstage? What does it say about the power structure? How come you don't believe in the place that you said you believed in at one point? It was the first. It was like a glass house and the stone cracked something. It wasn't fully cracked, but there was a big enough crack that you could see. You're like, something's wrong here.
I agree. And so like the perception of when Cody was there and leaving, and then when Cody made it to WWE and to where Cody's at now. Hopefully I'm not bleeding over my audio too much there.
No, you're good.
No, that was me.
Oh, I'm sorry. I just heard it, so it threw me off a second. Anyways, Cody wasn't put in as a he booked himself to not be the main event. So when he left and he was done, we were shocked, but it wasn't as if the Cody that we know in WWE right now left. But as you said, seeing that like glass cracking. Yeah, something can't be right. And nobody at that time had any idea, inclination as to what that could have been.
Right.
And so, I mean, that will come into play maybe later as we're going down through this. But yeah, at that time, that was a big shock. But that is a past to present issue. But that's only half when it comes to the Cody situation. But we'll get on to that. The next one that I want to talk about is the EVPs, which Cody was initially an EVP on. This is, it's funny that you put up that stage. It's the same reason that I have, this is my background logo for our chat, because it was like, hey, do you remember this? I think we're the only people that seem to, because the company doesn't seem to. But initial issues with the EVPs, some of them we didn't even notice. Getting all their friends in and starting up the company. Yeah, it's new people, it's new names, it's to showcase some people, whatever. But nobody thought about it in the same ways that maybe we should have looked at things. This is us with the, the focus now. When Hogan and Bischoff came in to TNA and was moving to Impact and stuff, they brought in all their friends, and that wasn't good. This was a whole brand new thing, but it seemed to be, here are some top indie names, and here are other names who were just big friends with all the people that have been signed as EVPs. And I will put Jericho separately, even though I think Jericho was already kind of in that boat as being friends with them because of the New Japan stuff.
Yeah, the relationship with Kenny. Like I said, the EVP tentacles are very long, but I don't think we realized how long they were. I knew that Tony was going to need help recruiting people, but I didn't know that they had that many connections. They were really well connected. They're the reasons why you got to see Brian Cage, Lucha Bros, you name them in the beginning days, Trent Beretta, whomever. All that stuff happened because of the EVPs. Like they made those moves, and I have to give them credit for that.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I'm not taking away that they brought in all their friends. That's not a problem at all for me. It's just a bigger issue when, say, Cody is trying to bring in some of his people, and they're not friends with the other three.
He did bring in his people.
Mm-hmm.
There's definitely a divide in the locker room if you pay close enough attention to it. You could see who's team Elite, you could see who's team Neutral, you could see who's team Punk, you could see who's team Cody, and I think the Punk and Cody guys kind of bleed into each other even a little bit, to where it was Ricky Starks, it was FTR, it was a bunch of different people. And I could definitely see the frustration within the roster when it comes to it, because while we're saying thank goodness the EVPs had those connections have come back to haunt Tony. I'm kind of linking these together here for a second, where they had a big enough roster, Derek, and I don't know if you could think about any other team like this, maybe like one of the Cleveland Cavalier teams where who was the number one coach? Mike Brown? He got fired. He was the number one coach because someone on the team didn't want him there. I'm like, well, he's the coach. Isn't he in charge of them? It doesn't make sense sometimes when you hear those things. Sorry, LeBron fans. It's just a equation. But when you look at this, I was like, well, how is Tony going to get control of his company if it's the Elite? And the Elite now, I'm including people like Brian Cage. I'm including people like Luchasaurus, Jungle Boy. They've got all these people supporting them. And if Tony says he wants to do something, maybe what do you do if you have 30, 40 people speaking up against you? That's not a comfortable feeling to have backstage. And I've used this example a lot, and I guess I'll use some of my real business stuff. You could be in a room with 5 different people, and your boss is going to have the final say no matter what. This is what you can control versus what you can't. But you may be the right person in the room, but you're the only one saying it. I've been in those situations where I'm like, I feel I'm right, but they can bully you into it. I questioned myself one time on something, like, am I wrong? And then all of a sudden I thought, I'm like, no, you guys are wrong. I said, absolutely not. I'm not changing my stance on this. If you tell me to do otherwise, that's fine. But I'm not going to acquiesce to what you're saying. I'll just be like, I respectfully disagree and move on. So I think Tony just put himself in a bad position with the roster stuff.
I agree with that. It was fitting for you to talk about, Cody's people, Neutral people, Punk people, and that bleeding over, because Punk and Blood and the EVPs all lead us to our next thing. Brawl Out and CM Punk, kind of combining these here. They're 2 separate things, but they overlap, from the EVP having a problem with the Brawl Out to Punk coming in and Punk having a problem with Brawl Out. If we step over to the side and talk about CM Punk, just in general, When he came back to wrestling, not, on the return to the injuries, when he came back, he, it felt huge. It was monumental. The impossible had happened. Not a hell freezing over type of situation, because AEW wasn't a bad place to be. It was, well, I mean, they even had called it, like, at one point, like, a second coming. Like, we're getting Punk back. Punk left because he was frustrated and mad and hurt and was tired of the way that things were. Well, now he's coming back to a place that was built off of those same frustrations, that was built off of those same feelings, off of those same, this is what wrestling should be, point of view. And so I was super excited to be back. With AEW and Punk together, it felt like they were going to be unstoppable. That was short-lived in the grand scheme of things, because we get to brawl out. That in itself, both for CM Punk and the EVPs, should not have been what it was for every person's side involved. If you had eyes on it, if you had a decision to make about it, if you had an action to take on it during or after, all of them were the wrong choices.
Yeah.
And I think that is when we saw, okay, the chunk, the little glass piece that when Cody left, now we're seeing, hey, there's something way worse here.
Yeah. I totally agree with that.
Am I echoing?
No, you're good on my end, Beach.
Okay.
I don't hear the echo either, but everyone in the chat does. So I put in headphones just to see. I don't know if you want to try the same thing. Go ahead, Derek. Explain yourself.
Mm-hmm.
So I think with the whole CM Punk and with the brawl out, so at some point in time, we all know people have their sides. I'm Team Cody, I'm Team Punk, I'm Team Elite, I'm Team this, I'm Team that. I get it, but you know what though? Like this is what I say every single time when people say like Punk should have handled himself better, the EVP should have handled himself better. Okay, so in Punk's case, I feel if you're going to keep pushing, what else am I going to do? I've kept my mouth shut. I've let you do what you wanted to do. I've let you say what you wanted to say. But in a rational world, we all know that's only going to last for so long until you push the correct button for me to say, all right, listen, I've had enough. Either you leave me alone or we got problems. And if you don't care to stop and you continue to push that button, now we go to fisticuffs. I'm sorry, you keep poking me. There's only so much I can take of you poking at the bear that has been trying to stay locked away. And I'm sorry, you like this is the issue that I have with them, because it's like you don't want him to come in, but he was a main reason as to why you were here. We were here. Now we're just gradually falling. But no one ever wants to say why we're falling. No one ever wants to talk about why we came from here to here. It's not one-sided. It's a two-way street. and nobody wants to place blame on both sides. Yes, you could say Punk is an old head and he's stuck in his old ways and not used to doing what's new now. And you can say the EVPs are stuck in their ways. They're not used to the old way. This is the new way. We have to do it this way. We have someone here who has been wrestling for so long while you were probably still wearing Pampers, probably. Let's a little bit of column A, a little bit of column B. Shut up. Let it be what it's supposed to be. Work it out. You guys are not always gonna agree. You're gonna agree to disagree. Who cares? It should not have come to this conclusion where we're here. Now we're here. We're falling out. I don't know.
Yeah, I agree.
Listen, I told everybody this too. If someone says they're a CM Punk fan, you better believe them, because that means they'll probably whoop your ass in a fight. I'm not even trying to be funny. Like, that means they will probably sock you in the face. I mean, there's times to talk, and then there's times where I'm going to be like, yeah, the talk's over. I'm one of those people. I've told people this stuff before too. Derek has known me for a long, long time. If me and Derek ever had an issue and then someone tried to interject themselves or start rumors about it or get involved in it, whatever I believed in my head, the situation with Hangman, the Elite, and all that stuff, I think I would have felt the same way. I would have said, you better back off. CM Punk you got to understand dynamics with people. CM Punk doesn't really have family. Like mom, dad, all that stuff. CM Punk isn't around those people. He doesn't even talk to his own brother anymore because he stole money from him for his indie fed. CM Punk probably thought that was the lowest, dirtiest thing you could do to somebody. Now, look at what CM Punk is out here doing. He's dealing with a situation with someone who was at one time his best friend. And I get that you guys are still friends with that guy, but why did all this get brought up for a situation that never happened? He never got fired. I don't understand it. And all this led to Brawl him and Jungle Boy getting into it. It just turned into bad press. It turned into what BJ said. What was the percentage, BJ? I always reference this from Reddit you saw.
It was 200%.
200% increase in clicks and views when it is negative about AEW versus positive. What does that say about your community and who's watching you? They love the drama more than what you're actually doing in the ring. Isn't that sending Tony a message? He's a stats guy. He sees that. Okay, well, I get maybe the drama's good. I don't know. But it wasn't good for the company. It wasn't good for the locker room. And I thought what Punk did was wrong. Should you put your hands on people? Definitely not. But I can also feel it when someone feels like they have no other choice but to do that because they're so sick of it. Imagine what it was like to go to work if you were CM Punk. They put you on Saturday. Everyone's like, they gave him his own show. Did they? Or was that a punishment? Like, was that setting him up for failure? Like, haha, sorry, bud, you're not going to be there. But then you can appear when the Elite aren't on Dynamite. You could just make a random quick appearance. It didn't make sense, and it was bound to drizz on that plan. Tony Khan, absolute fail in doing that because you knew by All In they're going to have to see each other. At All Out, they're going to have to see each other. What's the plan? How come more Dynamite people were on All In and then everyone on Collision was on All Out, the lesser pay-per-view the second night? It felt like a setup. It probably looked bad to him. Why do you think he wanted to get out of there? It makes sense to me. And I know everyone's like, how could he go back to the WWE? Where was he supposed to go? He knows what his star power is worth. Why would he go somewhere else and then lower himself? It would hurt his drawing ability versus raise it up. I get he talked all that crap about WWE. Look, he was going to go back there even before AEW was a thing. I don't know if you guys remember that, but they were talking about that in like 2018, 2017. They're like, yeah, we might sign Punk. It was the top dog Gomez ex-naying it though. They probably needed him back then to get us a boost in the ratings. They should have signed him back then. Either way, you blew your opportunity with one of the biggest stars for what? That's what I'm asking. Look at where we are now. What did you gain from this? And it's not Jungle Boy's fault that he said something and Punk reacted to those people. Shut up. You just made Tony Khan flush millions of dollars down a toilet. That's what you did. Jungle Boy should not be praised. Jungle Boy should be punished, if you ask me, when he comes back. He would be getting some, I don't know. I'm trying to think of someone who did something bad and they just jobbed him out for a while. That's him. He's in the Hunter Hearst Helmsley, no King of the Ring for you, buddy, territory with me. Like, nope, I don't want to hear nothing from you. That's it. You do whatever you got to do.
Real quick. So see what you said. See, like, everybody chastised Punk for going back to WWE, but nobody said anything about Cody Rhodes going back there.
Some people did.
Well,
not enough.
I will chime in here, and hopefully the echo is gone. I messaged you, Conrad, I believe, as soon as they said that Punk was fired, and I was like, he's gonna go back. And I did take it as a petty move. Now, business-wise, making that money, making longevity with your name and brand, it's smart. It's just all the stuff he talked. That it was like, you're gonna have to eat some crow on this one. You're gonna have to have some humble pie. But I knew it as soon as they were like, yeah, he's fired. I was like, he will go to WWE.
To spite them.
Mm-hmm, to spite them. And I think that's the exact words I used when I messaged you too. I was like, it will be spiteful.
Because I'm like that as a person too. People don't understand that, but I'm like that. If you told me I can't do something, I will go in that direction just to prove to you that I could do it. And if I'm going to be happy or if I'm going to get what I want from it, then, you know what I mean? Like, people probably thought, he'll never leave this job. I will leave this job. I left. So here's CM Punk is my motivation, and it's personal with me with a lot of stuff. I was told that I would not get a promotion at my next spot. I wasn't ready, blah, blah, blah. They kept feeding me garbage answers. And CM Punk always was like, you got to believe in yourself. That's what I got from the pipe bomb stuff and all the interviews and things that he said. And I took a chance on myself. Derek knows I left the job. I took an administrative job for a significant pay cut. But now, fast forward, I make more money than I did at the previous job. And now when people are like, oh man, how's CJ doing? And they're like, oh yeah, I heard he's doing that now. Really? He makes more money than me now? Yeah. Oh, that good for him. You know, it's the pleasantries of like, good for him. It's not a hatred thing, but I did it to show them like, no, I can do this. I am better than this. And you should believe in me. And here's why. So I get why Punk did it. And I know everybody's in the chat like, oh, we're still talking about this. We're over this. But this is going to get into why AEW's in the state that it's in. Like, it's getting there. Well, I know we got to fast forward this a little bit. But
yeah, and that's where I was heading, is to the next factor of this problem, but is also a current issue, even for all the things that I like. And that is Tony Khan himself. I'm a fan of Tony. I like that he's brought in.
Oh, can I rewind it real quick before we get into Tony?
Yeah.
Pro Wrestling Shoot brought up a good point too. Britt Baker, Thunder Rosa, MJF. I want to bring up these issues real quick. The women's locker room has always been filled with the drama too. With Rosa going out, Britt Baker, the title reigns and all that stuff. And how we all forget, oh, poor MJF. I can't believe they keep ruining his moments. Does everybody forget what happened to Wardlow at that Double or Nothing pay-per-view? Everyone just forgets that one because of the Punk drama, because it was higher up. That was bad too, saying, I'm going to get on a flight and then show pictures of the plane ticket and all that stuff, that people had pictures of the plane ticket. That was drama too. That's bad too. It ain't just Punk in the Elite. It's everybody. It's how they were operating. The jealousy started bleeding through, or whatever the issues were, money, creative, jealousy. It all bled through, and it just made things worse, which led to Tony, which is the main crux of all the issues. I'm sorry, BJ.
You're good. You're good. So I've got him kind of in three different fronts. Where Tony is a current issue, and that is on the level of the booking, a level of social media, and a level of business itself. When it comes to the booker, Tony Khan had a notebook that he had like 2 years worth of stories that he had written out and playing out and whatever. And if injuries happen, he's stuck to that still. He just stretched some things out or just temporarily added some stuff, brought himself back, that kind of thing, stuck to his plan. It was a good 2.5 years because of some of the things that needed to be stretched out. The stories that were told were good. It was long-term storytelling. It was all of that. After that, he's had some perplexing stories. He might have one or two working on. He's got a lot of little crumbs that he can put together for stories. But I feel like not that he was burnt out, not that he doesn't have good ideas still, I just think if he could have someone else with him as a way to structure things out, someone else to come up with, I'm focusing on this main story, this side story, and this important one that's going to be an overarching thing. Can you work on this, this, and this? That kind of thing. I feel like we don't have that. I feel like that is a problem. Some of him needing an extra person, because I'm trying to concise some things. He needs that with his business too, because of things like with the disciplinary issues and stuff. He's elevated some people onto roles to start helping with that, but it's been I hired them after the events, or I raised them up after the events, rather than this is what their role was from the beginning. I get learning, I get growing pains, I get some of that, but I think he needs to do it even more than what he already has. And I think he should have had it even more 2 years ago. When it comes to him on social media, tribalism is a big thing that gets thrown away or thrown around, and he helps foster it. It's his business. He's supposed to. I'm not going to say that he shouldn't. You're not going to see Triple H out here talking about somebody else that is competition in any positive light without also hyping up his own stuff. I don't expect anything less from Tony. It just comes off awkward at certain times. I know he does it to capitalize for this negativity because the negative gets him more eyes and stuff on it. However, this is one of the few outside things of solutions, like with bringing more people in. He mentioned this himself. I don't think it was at the last media scrum, but the one before, maybe for ROH, where he was talking about how Twitter or X is like the biggest medium for professional wrestling fans that they use as a platform and stuff. I really think Tony, knowing that, should work with another platform to really help push so that it is expanded outside of the bubble that is Twitter, so that you can get different perspectives and different types of fans and different types of comments.
Yeah, I agree with that. To me, Tony has shot himself in the foot on numerous occasions. I definitely feel like he's let things go too far, and now he can't get himself out of it in a timely fashion. So, yeah, Tony can't get out of his own way. He puts himself in that situation without actually putting himself in that situation. Things happen, and the snowball effect happens, and he doesn't know what to do with it, and he makes irrational decisions to say, all right, this is how we're going to fix this. I mean, that might be okay, but I mean, is it thoroughly thought through? Maybe not. In my eyes, it doesn't seem like it is, because it's just like in your face, like, here, this is what's going to happen because this happened, so now this has to happen. And at times I feel like he doesn't know how to make it work.
I'm not I'm going to defend Tony in some of these circumstances. I'm going to also disagree with Tony. I think Tony does some things very well. Like, I thought that Brody Lee tribute show, probably one of the best tribute shows I've ever seen someone put on. Tony was also innovative when it came to, we can't have wrestling crowds, but we have an open air stadium in Jacksonville that my family owns. Can we set up the ring in there and have wrestlers around the ringside area because they're cleared to work? So that'll allow me to employ people. He's come up with some good ideas, is what I'm saying. He's done some things. You can get into all of that. I think Tony has honored most of his contracts when he could. Issue communication, though. You could communicate this stuff a little bit better. If you're not renewing, don't leave Marco Stunt to wonder what's going to happen. Have some respect for the guy and just say, like, hey, look, we're not going to renew, but we're going to take you off TV, but I'm going to pay you till the end. Okay, cool. No problem. Thanks. And I do see a lot of things. Like, I just saw somebody put in there, I think it was Chair Relax, said Tony Khan is Tony's the worst booker in all of wrestling. I don't agree with that. I do not think that he is the worst booker. I'm not saying he's the best either, but I still think Tony's got some juice. Another comment that I hate, and he put this in here because he knows I hate, that's why I put the smiley face. Tony needs to be more like, I'm going to say his real name for once, Vince, so people know who I'm talking about, but we call him Gomez here. Tony needs to be more like Gomez. Why? Why can't Tony Khan be himself? Why can't he be who he is? We preach this stuff all the time, but then you're telling people to do the opposite. Like, don't be like yourself. If that's how Tony is, then that's how Tony is. And if you don't like the product, that's fine. But I have yearned for a second option for a long time in pro wrestling. Like, BJ, we were talking back then, like when this stuff was happening, and dog, I don't know if some of you guys weren't around when I used to just cover WWE, but it was miserable sometimes. Friday night SmackDown, Thursday night SmackDown, or we're sitting up here covering Raw, and I was like, dude, what are we doing? And I just told someone WCW 2000 was the worst. Terrell reminds us all that a child won the tag belts at WrestleMania. That was way worse than any creative WCW went through in 2000. You need to go back and watch 2000 WCW. It was bad.
I will give them a highlight, them being WWE. SmackDown Live 2016, 2015, 2016. That was good. I liked it.
Until WrestleMania 33. That was the cutoff point.
I didn't even watch Raw. I was a SmackDown person. I chose a side. And it was, these are the only places, but I chose a side because I liked it better. I liked it more.
And NXT was good.
Mm-hmm.
They were kind of cooking there for that year, and then all of a sudden they stopped. They were like, no more.
Yep. And we had to wait until 2019 for AEW to be announced, let alone start a TV show later on that year.
Yeah. TK needs a publicist. I will agree. I do think that they could have some PR people in there. I know TK likes the tweets where it's like, yeah, you don't need a PR guy. Nah, I think you guys should consider it. We're getting questions from the chat here, Beej. I know we're going to probably have to do like a quick super rundown of your thoughts or whatever on this stuff, but I have questions. Looking back now, do you guys think that TK firing Punk was the right call, or should have he addressed it better?
If everything happened the way that it did, yes. I think letting him go was the right choice. If Brawl Out had a better decision and better process of handling it than what happened, then no. Because I don't think All In would have happened.
That disciplinary committee shit was weak in my opinion. Mm-hmm. I'm not for it. I think that TK should have squashed it beforehand. So this is tough because I think did TK handle it better is the real question. That's the issue, not Punk, because TK should have set everybody straight. Everybody should have been called into a room, even with Punk and all them there, and should have said, Collision guys on this side, Dynamite guys on this side. I'm working with all of you. I pay all of you guys. I need you to work together. I need to have the church moment right now. Peace be with you and also with you. Everybody, it's over. I don't need you to be friends. You guys can go back to your locker rooms. Please stop the I don't want to hear any more of it. I'm done with it. If I see it, you're getting a huge fine. I'm done playing these games. If you fight backstage, You're done. I'm going to send you home. You're going to lose all your even bigger fine for that. And that's what I think Tony should just laid down the law or said something or did something. And if he didn't want to, he should have hired someone to do that for him. But he didn't. And I think he made a big mistake, and he flushed millions of dollars down the toilet. At one point, CM Punk was the top merch seller in both companies. That is crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I just think they made a big mistake with it. That's me. Let me see here. What sucks most about Tony is he's so damn lovable. I absolutely love Tony, but I find myself calling him a dumbass countless times. I think it's supposed to be dumbass. A dumbass countless times because of Twitter. He's playing people on Twitter too. I told BJ, go look at his impressions for that tweet about gender, and then go look at the one before where he politely promotes Dynamite. Once again, it's the percentage.
It's a game. It's a business. I just think you're playing with fire a little bit. You only get so many of those.
We also get do you think TK's decision firing Punk was influenced by the Bucks and friends?
Absolutely.
I think that whole bullshit of he had to be good for 6 months. Who the can I swear? Whatever. Who the fuck told me that I had to be good for 6 months? Who told me that I was on some probation? Kiss my ass. You know what I mean? Like that really made me mad. And can I say something else too about the Bucks? I'm going to get into this. They just released his wife, and they got rid of some people in higher up positions. How is it Dave Meltzer knows about how his wife feels about how the Bucks were treated in all of this, and they were never apologized to? I'm going to stand on business right here again, just like I'm standing on business that predictability isn't bad in pro wrestling. I'm standing on business with this. Fuck those guys for taking Tony Khan's money and then still bitching backstage when they get back there to still bitch about Brawl Out. You're still talking about this and the problem is gone. Fuck all the way off. And I would say that to their face.
They just addressed that same problem on screen tonight.
Yeah, it's lame as shit to me. I'm sorry to say that, guys. Like, it's just lame as hell to me that they did that. And I'm standing on that. That's me.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really have much more to say on it. I think if Tony didn't want to handle the issue, then he should have hired someone else to handle the issue. But at the same time, you don't have anybody to handle that issue. So you should have just shut it down at the point where everything was just getting wild. Sometimes you just got to be like, all right, listen, this isn't the normal me, but this has to be me right now. And it's too much chaos. I need everybody to stop, or everybody's getting fined and everybody's going home.
Right.
What do you want to do? You want to get fined and go home, or do you want to get paid and put on a show? Which one is way more valuable to you?
Yeah, and then when people say that whole, oh, Gomez/Vince would have never let that happen, I need you guys to go back and look at the Montreal screw job and all that stuff too. That stuff did happen. Please stop doing revisionist history. That stuff happened. TK firing CM Punk was the best decision because everything backstage was only going to get worse. So, Jason, using that logic, I want you to ask yourself this. Why are we sitting here having a discussion? How many months later is this? 4 or 5 months later about the state of AEW. If things were only going to get worse if Punk stayed around, what happened?
We would not be having the conversation on the state of AEW if things were fine between Punk and the EVPs. I would just say that right now. I honestly feel that way.
I agree with that. Had they been on the same page, we would not be. Even if they're not going to be friends, at some point in time, you have to be on the same page. Like, hey, listen, all right, we have a bigger picture here. We're all gonna make money here. I don't like you, you don't like me, but that's besides the point. We have a bigger picture here. We have people to entertain. We have money to be made. Let's go do that.
I want to comment on Jason's comment there.
Yes.
State of AEW being overly exaggerated. It's not that we're not exaggerating with trying to talk about this because we think the company's going to close. But there are too many shadows that have shown up on the wall and too many cracks that have started forming. And we are concerned fans who are worried because it doesn't seem like they're doing anything to help resolve those issues.
Chris Jericho situation. Once again, I can go away from Punk and talk about all the same stuff. How is this not addressed? You got asked about this at a media scrum. These are unbased rumors. That's fine, but guess what? Everybody knows now. Now Jericho's going to get booed. Do you want that in there with Sting? I felt bad for Sting. He's in New York for the last time, and people are booing Jericho because that was what the focus was. You have to see these things and take these things seriously. And Tony's just dodging it. And I'm like, what are you doing, bro? Even if he doesn't know anything and he can't get anything because there was a personal NDA sign, whatever the situation is, address it though. Just say like, yeah, I looked into it. I was not able to substantiate the claims. I apologize, everyone. If something else turns up from it, there will be another investigation. Boom. Mm-hmm. You've changed things. You've changed the perception of what you were doing, at least. And if something did happen and you find out, you got to do something about it. You can't just punish certain people.
I think the cracks are continuously growing, because if you think about it, the state of AEW is going down a bad path, because prime example of tonight, we still have the EVP still throwing shots. Why? Let it go.
Serves no one.
Yeah, and I see Jesse talking with Jason in there with the CM Punk thing. He leveled up AEW, bro. I don't care what anybody says. He got them more ratings. CM Punk was always a ratings draw. He sold merch. He had the best feuds and programs. He did what he was supposed to do. He followed through and did that stuff. Where it went wrong, I couldn't tell you. Something happened backstage. I don't know if it's Colt's fault. I don't know if the Elite said something. I don't know what happens. There was miscommunications, and it happened. But what I'm telling you is CM Punk was not the end-all be-all, but you put a lot of eggs in his basket, and then you just said, you know what, forget it. And now look at where we are. Eggs are broken all over the street, and now you're going home with half a dozen to your mom, like, yo, I apologize. This is what happened, and this is where we are, and this is why we're talking about it. That's the issue.
Yeah. I kind of want to move forward with some stuff, and I'm going to kind of, where I've got them like bullet pointed, I'm just going to kind of go through like the section and say what I was thinking, and then just go from there on it rather than take it each one. My next one was talent. The AEW originals, WWE imports, those in-betweeners, the people that naturally just came in off the indie scene that wasn't one way or the other, and the women's division. Women's division needs to be highlighted more, needs to have more done with it. He says that's going to be a focus. It looks like he's living up to his words. We'll see where we stand from there, but it's needed work, and they need more TV time. The in-betweeners, do they just float? Like, I feel like you might have some strong case, even though, yes, he's a WWE import with Swerve, but Swerve wasn't on the main roster what I feel was like a long enough to be a WWE import. Kind of like how I feel the same way with like Adam Cole not being a WWE import type of thing, but he was friends with the EVPs. Regardless, what I'm saying is in-betweeners are few and far between of people I think that are getting a main focus. You have like Swerve, and then I can't really think of other ones. WWE imports, it feels like it's almost completely backwards. Who would have thought we would have saw Christian Cage doing what he's doing, but also at the same time not doing anything with Miro, and also at the same time doing all we were doing for Andrade when we knew months ago that Andrade was trying to leave and didn't really want to be there. Why wouldn't Miro and Andrade? And so I know it's different situations for different people, and we've heard about the Miro, like with losing thing, but there's plenty of people where there's situations like that. And then as far as AEW originals, why are some of them not even thought about anymore? Why haven't I seen Nyla in such a long time? Like, it's like these people helped get what your initial TV was off the ground. They weren't bad performers. Just because you sign other people with a bigger name doesn't mean they shouldn't also be given the focus too, because that's what AEW was. We were giving these people new opportunities and new shots. And it feels like with a big majority of some of those originals, we just kind of stopped. We just let them float.
I think that came from lack of television time too. Like, we're not really getting too deep into some of the other minor things that come along with it. Lack of TV time that the roster gets. Someone said give the women more TV time. I can definitely contradict this, but I can also feel this at the same time. You have to give the women more TV time to give them a chance, and I think that's what he's doing now. But at the same token, we went to Forbidden Door. You can't have everybody get up when it's the women's match during Tony Storm and Willow. And I'm like, where are you all going? This is not the worst match on this card. That sends a message. When you go watch the rating scales, go follow my guys at WrestleNomics. They're from Buffalo as well. When you see the scale and then you see what's the lowest dip point. Oh, when the women's match came on, everyone tuned out. You have to see those things and think that's what Tony sees. This is a business to him. So if you want more women's matches, you better tell people, get on there and watch, get on there and support, go to the shows and cheer when they're out there. That sends a message and people will get along and believe in that. And I know that people probably think we're hating on AEW. BJ prefaced this in the beginning. We are AEW fans. If you go back and look, I was in a stream with a bunch of people when they announced the company. I was so happy. I'm still happy. I review the show every week. If I didn't, go back and look. I used to do Raw reviews. Guess what I don't do anymore? Raw reviews. So if I didn't want to do this, I wouldn't do this. I promise you. Like, I like AEW. Trust me. I just want to discuss what is going on with them, though, too. It's a hit or miss, and people just seem to think that this just happened. Rose-colored glasses were on for a few years. We all had it. It was great. It's the best thing going since sliced bread. And then reality hit. And I think it was around the time Triple H took over. Then people had hope for WWE. And I think WWE gets a lot of passes too. I just wrote that in the chat. They get a lot of passes lately these days. Like, okay, that storyline with Otis, how's that going right now? You know, but nobody mentions that stuff. And I'm just like, okay, that's fine. So 50-50 stuff with this. Run down your stuff, BJ. I'm sorry.
Oh, you're good. That was what I had on talent. The next was Ring of Honor itself is a issue for AEW, both on its status, its purpose, and what its future is. Tonight, I'm hoping was another step in the sign of what its future is. I think, just like you said with the Bullet Club Gold getting the 6-man belts, I think they're going to merge with the AEW ones. If you noticed, the big faction we're trying to push right now, the tag team in that division is carrying the ROH tag belts. But we could have ourselves in a situation where, I don't know, March 4th, we have a vacancy if Sting and Darby would go out as champs, and maybe those merge with the AEW titles, and maybe we start consolidating and breaking stuff down. That's a hope. But what is AEW, or what is Ring of Honor's purpose right now? Who's it serving? Minus we've had some success with Eddie Kingston stuff, Athena stuff, Billy Starks. I think total since since ROH has been purchased, we might have 8 people who have benefited from it. Otherwise, it has just been an extra place for people to work, which is a good thing. I'm not advocating on the closing of businesses by any means. I'm just saying there hasn't been that priority put onto Ring of Honor as much as it's, we'll use Ring of Honor as a platform to help these people, but it's only been, few and far between on who it's helped since you purchased it. It's great for the video library. Let someone else run Ring of Honor, get it a TV slot instead of an online service, because online, it ain't cutting it. You're not helping anything. And its
which
status,
is an opportunity he's still holding out for. You could tell,
right? But how long do you hold out for it before you just start making some decisions? Because that's where we're getting into its status. Is it a feeder? Is it your NXT? Or is it going to be its own thing where people can float over to it and treat it like as if somebody went to New Japan or somebody went to Impact or something for a little bit?
And why do you go back on your word too? Remember, at one point he said that we're going to separate Ring of Honor and AEW more, and then kind of like after the last Punk stuff happened, we went right back to it again.
And the minute that he started to say that we're going to separate it again, we had Joe just drop the belt instead of properly losing it. We still had the 6-man belt showing up almost every week like we've been until, and tonight they were defended. And then we added the tag belt. So he keeps going in waves one way or the other there. But that's why I say, what is its purpose? What is its status? And what's the future? Who are we serving with Ring of Honor? Is this additional wrestling for fans who love wrestling, who want to see some big names? Or is this our NXT? And let's start utilizing it that way, because it's been very 50-50 all the way through. And I think it hurts it both ways.
I think they should be mindful of letting wrestlers run it who are working, which is one of the problems I think with the EVPs that they ran into. I also think that you have to have an identity for Ring of Honor, like you said. Are you going to do a hard split or a soft split? I think if this is my decision, I think if it were up to me, Dynamite, Collision, Rampage, you all share talent. You're under the AEW umbrella, but we're going to have specific people under Ring of Honor. Private Party and Top Flight tonight. If they weren't there, you guys are going to Ring of Honor. Kingdom, you're going to Ring of Honor. You're going to be at my veteran tag team over there. Split the rosters then and really split them and have them get people ready. Then when you call them up to Dynamite, you can make a big deal about it. You could have a call-up show or something like, we're going to call up a couple names tonight and do that.
It would also allow them to actually give longevity stories for their pay-per-views rather than having one match advertised 3 weeks before and then filling out the card over the last 4 days before the show goes to start.
Yeah, I think the problem is it's like what we all think. There is no establishment. It's just there. It's just there. That's the problem. You have so much talent, but you have too many shows that are not like coherent with each other. And if you're gonna run ROH, or if you're gonna have it under that umbrella for AEW, then let someone else run it so that they can just do what they need to do with it. But at some point in time, you have to stop trying to cross over and be like, all right, well, I need you guys to come over here. No, stop it. You have too much talent on your main card that not getting burned right now.
Right.
Agree.
I'm gonna move on to the next one, which was presentation. This goes into a lot of different areas. Rankings being one of them, whether you use them, whether you don't, how you use them. You've been wishy-washy over that the minute that you decided to have the Young Ducks avoid FTR. And that's a big issue. Structure with promos, with video packages, and with your shows and your matches. So I'm gonna emphasize this kind of a point because this was very recent and I really wanted to make this one on top of everything regarding this. But I just ran into this past week some people that I didn't know were wrestling fans who have become really big wrestling fans and they're really into WWE right now. And I asked them if they watch AEW, and they do. Well, sort of. That was the exact answer. And it was, well, MJF's out right now, and he was my only real reason that I was watching. And so I started asking, like, why was it just MJF? Like, what was going on there? Well, I got to see, like, his story where he was coming around with the Adam Cole thing and the funny stuff that they did backstage, and then, the devil stuff and, like, all these kinds of things. So they're into it for the story. which made me realize that, you know, AEW being an alternative really does work for people who are already fans of wrestling. For people who like seeing the story told in the match, where WWE doesn't do that as often. For like seeing good competitive matches, where WWE's gotten better about it, but they weren't doing that for like the longest time. So AEW is a really hard place to come into as a new fan. And video packages and promos, this is the kind of stuff like I was mentioning tonight with the Chris Jericho thing with Matt Sydal. That didn't need to be on tonight's show. That could have been on YouTube. During the C2, there were videos that would go up on YouTube of the promos post-match, heading what they knew where their opponent was and all this kind of stuff, the trials and tribulations of Eddie Kingston and Danny Garcia and Brody King and all of these guys, and none of them were getting put on TV. None of them were floating over. If they were competing on Collision, they weren't floating over to show off on Dynamite and stuff like that. And I get they don't have a 3-hour long show like Raw to do a bunch of stuff, but you still make time for that. You still make time for important stuff like your storytelling. I have thought since AEW has started their Road 2s and their, well, now it's the Control Center stuff, you don't see any of the stuff that's on the Control Centers and on the Road 2s on TV. You did with the 30-minute previews heading into the pay-per-views, you would see some stuff, but it's never on Dynamite where people are watching the most, or it's not on Collision where people are watching the most. And I know that some people were like, yeah, because we get a repeat of everything on Raw all the time. We get tired of seeing this big news broke out and seeing 3 replays. Yes, WWE overkills it, but showing it once on TV and also having it on your social media, way better than just saying, put that online. It was good that we filmed it. We can always go back and like say, no, show that there. Let people get more invested in these characters. Right. When you have good stuff like this. Instead, we get, it's just a prioritization, because like this promo with Jericho tonight, blah. You could have put that on. You could have recorded that, filmed that, put that up on YouTube an hour before Dynamite was starting tonight. And you could have had that happen while the crowd was filling in, so that they knew that they had something to look forward to later on after Dynamite was over to see Jericho. That would have served a much better purpose than putting it on the show live tonight. I don't think that's going to do anything to put any extra eyes on Rampage.
Yeah,
same.
So that is a huge show structure, is a huge thing, and we're 5 years in. It is to a point where we got to do something. Like, let's fix it.
I agree.
Yeah, you could argue presentation. I like the new dude they brought in from WWE. I think he's adding some things. Like I said, I noticed the lighting stuff was better too. I'm just trying to put some positives on things. The look of the show is cleaner. It's a lot cleaner than, like, you see the background that you have back there, BJ. I mean, it was exploding. I forgot what they call those, but they're like the color bombs, basically.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
yeah.
That it was the same thing NXT had in the background. Then they were probably like, let's get away from this. Let's change it, do something different. I completely get it. We can go over presentation. We can go over all that stuff. It just comes down to, how do you want this show to look and how do you want to present it? I thought you brought up good points, though, with like the Road 2s were really good at the beginning. I haven't even been watching the shows afterwards, because now that you added another show, I don't have time for it. And now that you've increased the pay-per-view numbers, they're not as important to me, because when it was that quarter, I was like, oh yeah, here we go. I'm ready for this. I'm ready to watch this. Now it's like, you want $50 again. Right. And that's why I feel like when we got World's End, I'm like, that wasn't worth it.
Right. You have anything to add there on that, Derek?
Yeah, real quick. I mean, we live in a world where presentation means everything. And in order for you to put your best foot forward, you have to do something totally different. And I feel like we're at that point now where we're getting away from the childhood stage. I'm gonna call it like this is like this is the brand new wedding gift. Like this is the excitement. This is the honeymoon stage. Like now we have to stand on business here and show and prove why we can compete with said company and why we feel like we can outdo them. When you don't do it, it's hard for other people to buy into it because said company's been around for so long. You guys are 5 years in, but you guys made a lot of noise with that 5 years, but now you're starting to lose that. So now you got to reinvent yourself. So presentation comes back into play. You have to do something different. That's like me saying, okay, I have a 2020 Cadillac. Now I got a 24 Cadillac sitting right next to me. Which one are you gonna go through? I mean, you're gonna sit here with the 2020 or the 24? Which one looks better, the 2020 or the 24? Well, I'm gonna take the 24 because it's got cleaner lines.
Right.
Rolling 20s.
So there's some more here, but I'm gonna kind of just run. I've got one last thing on current, and then you've got stuff that's now to future, and I'm just gonna kind of bullet point, if I could talk, those, because with future we don't know how to resolve some of this stuff yet. It's just stuff that's clearly on the horizon that hopefully they're all aware of while they're trying to fix where they're at. So
Beej, I don't know what you're doing next week. We could save it too if you think it's something more. It's more worth getting in depth for. We're having an executive meeting right here, live on air.
I tell you what, if you want to do that, let's save the current to future for next week. I'll tell you the last thing here, and then, like I said, I wanted to leave with some positives.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So, fan service. You have legacy fans who are older fans who have come in. You have dedicated modern fans who have started with you and have just rode through because you were something different. And then you have new fans. Legacy fans can't keep up. You're moving so fast with things. They got to learn how to at least give them a little time to breathe. They're working on it. I've seen it. But that needs to be a continued focus. Dedicated modern fans, they get a payoff for stories because they catch the small little things that people who aren't keeping eyes on it don't see. And new fans, it goes back to the argument. New fans, they could see new talent, they could see new things, but you got to give them the space and environment to welcome them in to see it. And even though the MJF stuff, like I said, with my friends who I found out were really into wrestling, and MJF was all they really cared about, there were a lot of big production things that were focused on MJF that made you give more importance to him if it was a new fan. If you were the dedicated person, you've seen him the whole time. And if your legacy, well, you've seen stories like this, but it's a little different. And it's variety. And that's what hooks them in. So, addressing their fan service, I think, is a big thing because they do give off the vibe that the dedicated modern fans is the only thing they really strive towards. The legacy fans, they don't slow down enough. And the new fans, they don't give you the repetition or focus enough. It's here's this and here's this and here's this and here's this and here's this, and it's too much for some people to come
Yeah,
in.
I can agree with that. I think a big problem with everything is, for me, it's the being a Legend fan. I like the biggest thing I like is storylines. at times I struggle with trying to keep up with them because like we have one storyline, like we all know it's multiple storylines, but when you try to focus on one, they throw another one at you. It's like, well, wait a minute, one at a time.
Yeah.
But then, I get with the younger crowd and the futures and all that kind of stuff. Like they're like, all right, I got it. But to me, in my eyes, I feel like they have it because the storylines are being broken. Here's a little bit of this storyline. Here's a little bit of that storyline. Here's a little bit of this one. Here's a little bit of that one. Versus how, we all grew up and it's like, okay, here's the storyline. I'm totally invested because I know exactly what's happening.
Right.
The storyline is there. I could see it. We all know it's there, but they're throwing so much that you can't comprehend the one. You need to understand the one before you throw the second one in there, or the third, or the fourth, or the fifth. So to me, if I had to say anything about addressing AEW, make your storylines consistently clear, but don't rush.
I think it's tough.
No, go ahead, see.
No, I was gonna say I think it's rough now too. Though, look at the amount of talent pool that both companies have in the major sides. You don't have TNA. Like TNA's got enough to where they could probably do like a recap show on Explosion. I saw they brought that back. Like you could do a recap on that and what happened on Impact. Excuse me. You don't have time for that on Dynamite. You don't even have time for that on Rampage. They're like, go. They don't even show entrances. They're like, we don't have time for that. Let's go. Do your match. Go out there, do your match. Collision. I thought that would alleviate some things. I think it made it better for talent. They wanted time to tell their match a story. Like everybody needs 20 minutes, but I think some of these things you don't need 20 minutes, man.
Right.
No,
you need 10. I say save the long matches for the pay-per-views and give these things like shorter times. I think would help to just tell the story.
Right, and I think if you in my mind, I would do it like this. Your Dynamite, that's where your main storylines are. Then Collision is your second in line, where you tell the storylines there, but there's smaller storylines. Those are the ones that you build because you have way too much talent. So you gotta chop it up. And then Rampage is what, an hour? You don't really tell your storylines there. That's just like getting your talent in so that they can do what they got to do. But Dynamite, you have to give your main storylines there, and you have to let those cook.
That shit's basically Ring of Honor at this point. That could be Ring of Honor. Like I said, I don't understand what TNT's issue is with it. Like that could be an hour-long Ring of Honor show. It's different. People might want to tune in and be like, who are these guys? What is this? This looks different than Rampage. What is this?
Give them the opportunity.
Mm-hmm. Now, I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna list the positives here. Like I said, we'll get next week onto current to future issues because a lot of that is speculation. We've got stuff rooted as an issue, but there are things coming up ahead. There are things growing business-wise, talent-wise, whatever. We could talk about that then. But like I said, I wanted to leave things with this on the positives because, as I stated at the beginning, we're fans who love AEW, and we're just talking about it because we're seeing, these things, and we hope that they fix them or make them better for not only the growth of the company that we like, but because we love professional wrestling as a whole, and we need to make sure that there is a alternative and a strong alternative, not just, another Ring of Honor or another Impact. So these positives, AEW has proven over its 5 years, it is the true alternative. It gives you a little bit of everything from indie style to WWE style to their own style, stuff that you'd see at PWG, stuff that you'd see at ROH, stuff that you'd see like New Japan. They truly are good about giving you that variety. It rewards the dedicated fans, as I had mentioned before. All those little tiny things, especially the Devil story, makes me, that comes to mind with seeing where the mask was hanging in Adam Cole's thing all the way back at All In and being like, could pull that out. Some of the best talent in the world are there, and they're getting to be as much of themselves as they've ever wanted to be in a time where you could do that if you were on the indies. But if you were big league, if you were WWE, they told you who you were. You didn't get that. And this has also made it so that people who end up making it there from these places, not a lot's going to be changed on them if you've had enough of a stature in the company.
As I was shuffling today, I was listening to Brian Pillman Jr. talk with Chris Van Vliet, and that was interesting to hear the perspectives of how NXT works, where he's like, my only focus is to wrestle now. And I need to just be the best character version of who they give me. You know, he was preaching the John Cena stuff. Like, I need to be the best scumbag, rock and roll looking dude and do my job. In AEW, you have to create it yourself. Like, to me, the power is in your hands in AEW. There's really, it's on you if it fails. There's no one else to blame. There's nowhere else to look. It's you.
Yep.
You could say maybe Tony didn't give me enough TV time. You could say that stuff. But, okay, great. Then you look at NXT, they give you the character, and Pillman Jr. felt like he was just like, all I have to do is execute. Just execute. Yeah. So it's an interesting way to look at it. I'm not trying to down either side or say like one way's right, one way's wrong. It's just interesting.
Right. And so on top of wrestlers getting to be the most of who they want to be on their own, they also get to work outside of AEW if they want. There are plenty of wrestlers that are going over to New Japan. There are some that have been on Impact. There's PWG. There are some that are literally doing like the small town indies because they want to. If they want to supplement their income or whatever. That's a great thing because that only helps your promotion and your wrestlers get more reps and more experience and more connections to help, boost yourself up for years to come. AEW is great for the longevity of pro wrestling in general. When things get boring and things get stagnant, people stop wanting to do it or stop trying or start trying to grow with it. And the last is it's great for fan retention because without AEW, I was still a fan and I was still checking things out. But I just think about the pandemic and I think about how my own personal feelings on what was happening with New Japan, with the talent that they had and some of the decisions they were making and some of the way some of the shows were set up and some companies not being able to afford, like Ring of Honor, to even like run some shows during that time. If all I would have had is just WWE and they were how they had been, they could have lost me for the first time in my life. Like, they really could have lost me. And so just AEW existing and operating the way they do keeps people as a fan of pro wrestling, which is good for everyone in the business.
Yeah, I agree. CJ could tell you, like, honestly, like he was the one. Like, I watched a little bit of wrestling growing up, but he's the main reason why I got into it and started watching it. And then, but he'll be the first one to tell you why I fell off of it. It was just that point. Like, he knew more wrestling than I did. I'm just a casual fan. But I know what's good and what's not. And at the point of the time that I was watching it, it was good. And then at the point of the time where I stopped watching it, it wasn't good. At least to me, it wasn't. And right now, when you look at it, it's at that point again where it's like, okay, I'll watch it, but what's good about it? Everybody can say this is the best promotion here. Is it really though? Because I mean, you can't tell me what the take the whole bloodline storyline out of it. What's your next one? What's the best one there? So having AEW and Ring of Honor, New Japan, TNA, Impact, no matter what you want to call them, they're there for a reason. And that's to supplement the next. So
Yeah.
the positive thing
Yeah.
is that AEW came out and did something that another wrestling promotion hasn't been able to do, and that's stand toe to toe. And that's the biggest positive I can come up with.
At least make you step your game up and be scared.
Right.
And that is a positive for AEW. And I'm sure we're going to get into more positives and stuff next week. I won't say too much other than there's a wrestling show out there for you. If you don't like AEW, there's New Japan Pro Wrestling. They tell stories in the ring, not a lot of promos. You love stories, you love promos, go watch NWA. They got a lot of promo time, a lot of stories to be told, and they're all over the indies. You like TNA, you want something new, you want something fresh, you want someone who's going to try something out of the box just to try to get you to watch TNA, I would tell you to go watch. You want to watch ECW, Blood Hardcore, go watch GCW. I'm sitting here to tell you there's plenty of things. There's great indies all around. You could watch them. Check out Indie Wrestling Corner. Tiffany interviews all these people. She talks to them. She knows there's a lot of places, East Coast, West Coast, Texas, Midwest, everywhere. There's indies, and they're popping up more frequently, and they need places to work. And there's AEW for some people. And AEW is the one for me, I feel like. And that's what I enjoyed. I still enjoy WWE as well. There's nothing wrong with enjoying WWE. I'm a pro wrestling fan at the end of the day. I could watch it all. And I could sit back and watch and laugh and giggle and have all the fun with it. Absolutely. But I'm not going to keep all of you guys in here too long. You guys stayed with us for almost 2.5 hours. If you stayed and made it all the way through.
If you will allow me, I will try to do my best Excalibur here real quick with some things. I wanted to say thank you, both Conrad and Derek, for having me on, and this taking so long. There's a lot to go through with all of this. As I said, been sitting on it for quite a while now, talking about it. So we'll get to the rest of it here later on. But I did want to say thank you for having me on. Thank you for letting me be a part of your guys' world with all this. I wanted to give a shout out real quick to checking out some of my stuff on Run the Ropes with Real Shoot Wrestling, RSW, and YouTube with Cal Jin. But specifically on this Friday at 6 p.m., I am starting back the 2K series that we do, RTR 2K, with Run the Rumble 3. It is a Royal Rumble type match. Conrad will be a part of it. Derek will be a part of it. My alter persona, Beautiful BJ, will be a part of it. That is at the YouTube at LEL_BJ. Mondays, check out EPW on Clash of the Podcasts at 6:05 because they're fantastic. It's with Conrad and Sean Hubbard from Hubbard Wrestling Weekly. You got it. Hubbard Wrestling Weekly. Stumbled. I can't do Excalibur that well. And, of course, every Wednesday here on your AEW Dynamite review. But you have the biggest show of 2023 happening tomorrow. And I'm going to let you go there. Thank you all for having me.
Thank you, BJ. I was going to promote you there, too. I saw your stuff up. Yeah, make sure you guys are tuned in tomorrow at 6:30. Me and the homie Rob will be together. We are going to present some awards. If anybody wants the link, if they want to come in and talk, let me know. If you have been a guest on here before, BJ, Derek. I know Hub even said, like, if you guys got time, if 6:30 works for you, pop in for a second if you want. If you don't want to talk about it, we'll see. I don't want to get it too long and drawn out, but just talk to me, whatever. If you want to come in and do like one category, then bounce out, that's fine too. We're going to present the awards, 10 awards, best of 2023, fan voted. All of you guys decided it. The link is in the description. It's in the box. It's in the chat box. It's everywhere. So make sure you guys go and vote. Get that last minute voting in. Real close to the goal, probably like a couple away. So put those votes in. And listen, for myself, Derek, and the man they call Beautiful BJ, we are out for this episode. Thank you for listening to us ramble, and we will be back next week to talk about AEW Dynamite and give how we can help shape the promotion and make it better. Thank you all for watching with us. 1